Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Fridays with Sandy. This is John Byrne of Poets and Quants, and we have Sandy Kreisberg, founder of HBSGuru.com.
Hello, everybody. That's
There he is.
hbsguru.com.
We have a 27-year-old candidate from Pakistan, very, very promising. His name is Ahmad. He has worked for 4 years as the primary trader at the single biggest bank in Pakistan. More than that, he manages a 7 billion plus money market and fixed income portfolio for that bank. He had spent a little time before joining the bank at PwC in Pakistan, about 10 months. He's aiming for Wharton, Booth, Sloan, Yale, or his number one school, Columbia Business School. He has a 730 GMAT and a 3.22 GPA. That GPA is a little bit low, and it is from the oldest business school in Pakistan. So what do you think, Sandy?
John, you know this kind of stuff. What, Pakistan a plus?
I think it is a plus because I don't think there are a lot of
It's underrepresented country. Yeah,
not a lot of high quality candidates, and Hamad is distinguished by his employment and his responsibilities. He also
Hamad, tell me about this is key. Is your bank known to business schools?
I think so.
To the admissions committee, which means they deal with, every couple of years they deal with someone from your bank.
Yes, they do.
So you're coming from Pakistan, which is a little bit of a plus because it's underrepresented, and you got another plus. You're coming from like the top of Pakistan. Like you're coming from the elite of Pakistan banking. Okay, so then, and for the schools you want, like Columbia, boy, I think they'd like this guy, don't you, John? Just on the Pakistan thing.
Yeah, I definitely do. And he other than the.
So what are we going to do with the 3.2? That's your boo-boo, man.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing about Hamad that we, may not have mentioned is sort of his other background. I mean, he actually started a company early on.
Oh yeah, good point. He owned a Burger Myth in Karachi, owner and managing partner of Burger Myth. Is that a literary or a gustatory organization?
That's a McDonald's competitor.
Is that yes. Books or burgers?
It's burgers. It was the name Burger Myth is just inspired from a burger that you never sort of ate before and you kept dreaming about. So it was just we couldn't figure out anything else. The two partners, and we just said, okay, we're just going to name this, and let's just get started with the business. Let's start selling rather than thinking.
That's a great accomplishment. What how come? Did you sell it or?
So we closed it down. Basically, what happened was we got the opportunity to operate on campus at IBA. And what I did was we understood the market within the campus, and we thought, okay, we're going to take this within the campus and exploit the terms that we have with the university. So they gave us free utilities. We knew that there's going to be guaranteed footfall. We knew how to sell. We knew what was the most expensive item currently being sold on campus, what was the cheapest item, and we knew our markets.
Hey, stop. You're not answering the question. Just tell me what happened. This is something.
We closed it. Yeah. So it was just meant to be functioning within IBA.
We closed after X months and very quickly. How come?
It was just designed to be for while we were at IBA. So it was sort of a business model designed for on-campus role, and we ended it by the time we graduated.
Did you think about selling?
So you can't really sell to someone else. Either you operate or you get out. That's it.
Was that the deal you had with the school?
Yep. So they give it to you for a limited time, and then you can sort of either start operating out of the university.
Okay, that's a very impressive experience. What'd you learn from that?
So I learned a lot about sales and marketing and pricing strategy, and those were probably the three most important experiences of my life. Most of all, I learned how to negotiate.
What did Bismarck say about you should never look too deeply into how legislation and something else is made. What is that? You're smart, John. What else was it?
What do you
It's
mean?
a famous quote by the German leader Bismarck, who said, "You should never look too deeply into how legislation and I think hamburgers are made or something like that."
Oh, it's messy in the kitchen.
Yeah, right. Just eat the thing and don't think about where it came from. Okay, so that's impressive. Tell me about why you joined, your first job. How did that come about? This is at the PwC kiosk there in Pakistan.
So Big Fours are really prestigious in Pakistan because we don't have a lot of, most of the Big Fours do the investment banking here. Apart from IB and LUMS, the two really well-known universities, the chartered accountancy track in Pakistan is a lot sought for. So a lot of universities give us exemptions to pursue that track after graduation. You can do it without university or with university.
What question? Hey, John, which one of us is crazy, me or him?
What Sandy wants is very succinct, quick, direct answers to every question.
I wanted to explore a career at a Big Four firm, and that's why I went to PwC.
Yeah, that's a good first sentence. And then how'd you get that gig? I was interested in
on-campus recruiting.
It was I went to their They recruited on campus. I was very impressed by their offerings. Did the other big four breeze through?
Yes. Yeah. Everyone comes. Everyone comes to IB.
Yeah, good.
And so in the second sentence, I would always say, I know that that's a highly selective company, and it's hard to get employed there. And if you have any idea how many people they interview and select, that's all.
So 11 people from IBA were hired by the company out of a batch of 1,200. So, yeah.
Okay, you said Audit Assistant Risk Advisory Services Group. Is that like an elite group or?
So they gave us.
Let's just make it real simple. You got to be able to answer this question for every place you ever worked for. What did you do?
So I just work on risk assessment models with the firm for banks in Pakistan. So we did sort of risk advisory for financial institutions as to.
You mean they were hiring you to do the whole due diligence? It sounds like.
No, we were hired to sort of re-engineer their risk processes. So not evaluate the risk profile, but to build the mechanism that they use to assess their own risk profiles.
Good. Tell me about your next gig. So how did you go from that to joining the Habib Bank?
Okay, so
were they part of the bank? No.
Yes. So basically, I had in my mind there were just two career paths when I was graduating. It was either Big Four or the front office of a big desk. I tried the Big Four career path, and I thought that it doesn't really suit with me as such. Once I was there, I know that sounds very.
So what was that's a question they asked. So what was unexpected once you got there? Tell me about your experience.
So the nature of the work that we were doing, at times it was very interesting, but mostly we were sort of doing a lot of grunt work at the start, and the whole consultancy approach when you come to sort of doing work with banks and risk profiles. What you do is you put a lot of effort in building something, and then most clients don't even try implementing it. So I thought I'd be more helpful on the field. And then I got an offer from
Hey, John, is that a good answer? Are you still with them? Are you still tuned in here? I know you're much more patient.
No, I am still in there. I get it.
Okay.
But I'm a little more patient.
My advice would be to make it shorter, punchier.
Yeah, as short as possible.
Talking headlines. You're a smart guy, like all smart guys. You love to mansplain and lecture and yak. Okay, that'll do you whatever it'll do in the outside world. But let me tell you, one person who doesn't like that, it's the chick at Harvard Business School or Columbia who's going to be interviewing you. That's a roundabout way of saying business school interviews, they want shorter answers. They want to see if you get called on, whether the other kids are going to go to sleep. Okay, here's a question that often comes up, and it's very important. Hey, hello there. How are you? Could you tell me what you're doing now?
I'm currently acting as a trader at one of the largest banks in the country.
What do you think about that as an answer, John? It's very rare that I say that answer was too short, but I think it was too short.
Yeah, I'd say, I have an exciting job as the primary trader of a portfolio that's one of the largest in the bank. And it's composed of, whatever the number was, I can't remember.
Got to mention the bank. The answer is I'm a trader at the Habib Bank Limited. It's the largest bank in Pakistan. My portfolio, I usually trade in this or that. So let's hear your version of that.
Okay. I currently work as a trader for Habib Bank Limited, which is the largest bank in the country and the oldest bank. I handle a portfolio of roughly $7 billion, mostly focused on fixed income securities.
Good. That's a good answer. We don't get many traders. Why are you applying to business school?
So I'm looking to pivot into healthcare. Basically, what I want to do is I want to start my own healthcare venture focused on economies like Pakistan and Sri Lanka, Nepal, places like this.
Because who's a role model for that? Or let me ask a couple of questions. They'd be interested in where is that coming from? Is there any of that in your background? If not, how do you plan to get started? Can you point to someone who's like a role model? So with that in mind, let's hear your answer. What are your long-term goals here?
Okay, so this is more of a personal interest for me. I observed a lot of inefficiencies in the patient care system in Pakistan while my father was sick. And I want to sort of help change that. And I think that I have some of the skills which would help me excel in such a endeavor, but I think business school will help me develop.
Doesn't the government do that? I don't understand when you're saying you want to change the healthcare delivery. Isn't that the lingo?
Yeah. So the healthcare system in Pakistan is very rudimentary. It's mostly run by private institutions, and there is policy, but the government end of things isn't very strong. So mostly private institutions are here to sort of work, and healthcare in Pakistan is cheap, even with private institutions compared to the US. So mostly people just go to private healthcare providers. The problem is we lack a healthcare infrastructure in total. The healthcare is mostly run.
You're giving me a lecture again. How are you?
So I want.
Okay, with that in mind, how are you going to do it? You've made it seem even more. It's more difficult. What you're saying is the healthcare system is private and decentralized, and it's run by. Or is that correct?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of players, right?
There are a lot of traditional brick and mortar players. What I want to start off is by building a digital health record for Pakistanis.
Okay, slow down there. What did you? This is important. I'm not beating you up for no reason, although I've been known to do that. But this is actually important. What's your goal and how do you plan to get there? You really need that module. You've got to be able to present that.
Yeah. So my long-term goal is to have a healthcare business in Pakistan, which focuses on patient care. I want to start doing that by building a digital health record for Pakistanis, which would help improve the diagnosis that they get on a daily basis. I can get into specifics, but that would be the shorter answer right now.
That's still too high level.
Yeah.
What job do you want after business school?
So right after business school, I want to work with a digital healthcare consultancy focusing on the product development side right after business school, which would help me
Boy,
understand the health.
digital. I mean, doesn't Pakistan need like 10 things before they need that, like Band-Aids and
No,
patient rooms or not?
yeah. So we're covered on like the bandages, the medicine we're getting here. It's the quality of patient care that's an issue, and the reason is most Pakistanis can't really access physicians because they're very far away from where they're living, right? So right now, the easiest approach would be to give them
Is
access
that true?
to.
Is the population dispersed? I thought they were all crowded into big cities. I'm just watching movies here. What's the reality?
Yeah, so populations are very dense in the metropolitan cities like Karachi, Islamabad, Lahore, Multan. But when you go to provinces like Peshawar or provinces like KPK or Balochistan, those are the areas where there's the population is very well spread out, and the geography doesn't really allow a lot of infrastructure to be in place because infrastructure is expensive, and Pakistan isn't really able to haven't been able to build sort of
You
roads
plan to
there, let
focus
alone
on that,
hospitals.
on the more just thinly populated regions, and do what?
Those and even in the highly. So I'll give you an example. Have you ever heard of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome? Right, that's a disease that most people have. It's a very common disease. How it is
Yeah,
diagnosed is when.
I get that without getting it. I'm always.
So a lot of people sort of visit the same physician like 4 or 5 times before the physician actually figures out that you have IBS, because it's a disease that cannot be figured out by tests. It's more known by repeated visits to the same physician, right? Now, either you have repeated visits with the same physician, or you have a proper health record with you, which helps a doctor understand where you're coming from or what sort of symptoms you've had over the past couple of months, right? We don't have any such record, and most
Okay,
people in
the way
Pakistan.
you're not, this answer isn't working for me. What you got to say is the most fundamentally important thing that we're missing is just basic record keeping, which is so important in a medical environment.
Yeah.
People in remote regions, they visit a doctor and the doctor gives them a pill and they say goodbye and they pay the doctor and that's it. The engagement is over. And then if he's not feeling well, he sees another doctor, and they're not, in a modern healthcare system, the doctor would look at the record and say, "Boy, this blah blah blah." You get it?
Yeah.
That's the way I would present it.
So Sandy, what do you think are his chances for his target schools, and what do you think he needs to do to overcome the 3.2 GPA?
Okay, you said your first choice school is Columbia.
Yep.
And am I remembering this correctly? You know people from your similar background, your college and your bank, who go to Columbia?
From my college, yes, not from my bank.
Okay. And do you yourself have a sense of how you would stack up as an applicant versus them? I mean, that's the best.
Yep. So I think I'm at par with one of them. Other two I really can't say because one of them had US experience before he applied to Columbia, and the other one was sort of coming from a consultancy background and not a finance background.
So you already submitted your application to Columbia Business School, and I wonder if you submitted any additional essay.
I did.
Your 3.2 GPA.
Yeah, I did that.
I think that is essential because you happen to have.
Yeah, just for curiosity, everything else is great.
You have two very good reasons why your GPA is low. One is your father's illness and ultimately his death, unfortunately, during your undergraduate years, as well as the fact that you changed majors. I think that's very important information to include in your application, and you did at Columbia. That's really a good check. The other thing I should point out is your GPA, I mean, your GMAT is very strong. Last year, only 612 people took the GMAT test in Pakistan. Only 70 of them scored 700 and above. I'm bet that
Hey,
most
John,
of
do
them,
you subscribe to some underground GMAT?
yeah, I get all
newsletter?
this stat. And incidentally, the mean score is only 510 in Pakistan. You got a 730, and out of the 70 people last year who scored 700 and above, I bet you the majority of them scored below 730. So, given your work experience, your GMAT score, your CFA passage, your explanation for your GPA, I think you're in pretty damn good shape, don't you, Sandy?
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
while we're exploring stuff here, John, here's a question for you. How many people at Harvard have Pakistani passports? How many students at Harvard Business School have Pakistani passports?
I'm going to guess
2 to
it's
3 every
3
year.
to 5. Am I right?
Yeah,
I think it's
the
2 to
sources
3.
I
They're
go
a
to
little-
say 6.
6, but that's over a 2-year period, probably.
Yeah.
That's current enrollment. So three to 5, yeah, any given year out of 900 plus. Actually, there are now 1,000. The cohort numbers, because they beefed them up for 2 years due to deferments during COVID. So that's pretty small, huh? 6 out of 2,000 students, essentially.
Did you ever toy with the idea of going to Harvard?
Yeah, I did.
Sounds like you toyed with it. Did you ever execute the toy there, or?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I think it's worth a shot. I think it's worth what we call here in the West
Hail
a
Mary
Hail
pass.
Mary. What's that?
A Hail Mary pass.
Hail Mary. Yeah. I don't know what the
I think it's better than a Hail Mary
I
pass.
don't know what the Islamic version of that is, but
I think it's better than a Hail Mary pass, frankly. I think you're in the window. Now here's the consideration. He's 27. He will be 28. If he decides to wait and reapply for next year, because he applied to Columbia, his first choice school, a little bit late. If he doesn't get into his ideal school, he could get into Wharton, Chicago, MIT, Sloan, or Yale. But if he doesn't get into a school that he really wants to go to, should he wait for next year and reapply and go first round? What do you think, Sandy? Because if he applies to Harvard, it would have to be for first round this year.
This is a first round applicant. You're a standard applicant. By the way, business schools look at that. You work in banking. You've had a career. You're not some unusual person who was a nurse and now decided to go to business school. That can happen, and that could work. But that's like a second round, slightly atypical thing. You're a first round applicant, so I would apply first round.
Yeah, that's a compliment, incidentally, because oftentimes first round applicants are, they're among the best. Why? Because they're well prepared.
It's not no offense or no unoffense. It's not a compliment. It's a fact.
Yeah.
You're a first round applicant because you have a standard background.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And then what they do is the schools go through that and they admit people and they put the other people on a waiting list. So when second round comes around, they're looking to fill in different parts of the mosaic. Yeah. I'm not saying you couldn't get in second round. You just do better applying first.
Yeah. So if for any reason, and I think that you're going to get accepted, don't you? At least one or two of these schools, if for any reason,
I think the 730 in the Pakistan buys you and working for a blue chip company, a major employer and a bank, boy, that buys you a lot.
With a lot of responsibility, incidentally.
the dealer thing is unusual. Did we go over this, John? People.
Yeah, we
people
went over
really-
this a little bit, but I think this falls into the category of, if you are a white male in the United States and you have a Big Four background, that's not nearly as impressive as if you are in Asia or another country and you have a Big Four background. So I'm thinking it's the same thing for a trader versus an investment banker. To get that trader job at that responsibility.
Yeah. It's
highly,
already
highly
selective. It's a
selective
selective job. Yeah.
super selective in Pakistan, like a investment banker at Goldman Sachs in New York.
Right. Yeah. Business schools are always looking for people who have passed through other filters. They don't want to do the work. So they say, this guy passed through what was probably a very tough filter in Pakistan to get that trading job and to get a job at the bank there, the biggest bank.
So come on, we think you're going to get in. When you do get your interviews, be direct and be clear. And
That
super important. Okay, super
yeah.
important. Just answer the question immediately, and then maybe a sentence more, and then stop. Make them.
Amen. Yeah, they'll follow up and they'll interrupt.
Yeah.
Which is a good sign.
And you have a good explanation for your, below average GPA for the schools that you're applying to. You may have been
your first choice is a school, John. Isn't this correct? Columbia has a harder time swallowing a low GPA than its peer schools. They all have. Nobody likes it.
I think it's true that Columbia is a little more hung up on stats than some other schools by virtue of rankings pressure. On the other hand, they can take some of 4.0s and offset Hamon's 3.2 very easily. And your 730 is right in the pocket. So there you go.
That's good.
Well, good luck to you. And let us know how it all turns out, okay? And again, because you applied late to Columbia, that could affect your ability to get in. So if you really want to go there, you might want to apply very early in the next round. You're still young enough to be able to do that. And I'd be surprised if Columbia didn't take you. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
That's great to hear.
Thank you.
Welcome to New York City. Shalom, everybody. And
you've been watching Fridays with Sandy.
Adios.